Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast episode 696. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Guest, joined by Mike Sneedy,
What's up?
Corey Feinsod,
Ahoy!
and Tony Korkanakis.
Hello.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners and viewers. We're live Twitch Tuesday nights. We just finished the movie cast. Spoiler cast coming up for Fallout. Stay tuned. YouTube, if you miss these live broadcasts, subscribe. That way you get notified when we post and when we go live. All right, guys. What have we been playing? Mike, kick us off.
I've been a little all over the place. I've stalled a little bit on my Fallout New Vegas replay just because I don't know. My heart really wasn't in it. It was just I was in the mood after the show, and I got to where you like get Boone, and I forgot the quest to unlock him as a follower. I thought that was like in the middle of his quests. I didn't know that was the first thing you did because that was the most memorable thing with him. But yeah, I just kind of stopped. The game is very brown. I,
Hmm?
I was, I might get back to it, but I stalled a little bit on that. I played a little more of Alan Wake 2, actually. I'm sort of anticipating an announcement about the DLC pretty soon. I still have to get through my final draft playthrough of that. And then I also decided to start up a Harold Halibut on Game Pass. It's a very
Oh,
it's point and click style game. That's the
hmm
one in claymation for some reason. It seems like a very inefficient way to make a game. It probably was, but it looks pretty interesting. I don't think it's worth it, but it looks interesting. So I've been playing through that. It's very story driven, sort of like an old school point and click game. It's a very relaxing sort of game. So I'll probably play through that and enjoy that story enough. It's okay. It's not exactly super compelling, but it's pretty good.
hmm.
That's been it. I've been
Okay.
hopping around in sports games too. Yeah.
All right. All right, sounds good. Corey, how's
This
the
week
Star
I've
Wars?
done
How's
nothing really. There's been a lot of stuff going on here
oh,
that's been
okay.
taking my time.
Ah, okay. I was gonna say, how's the Star Wars collectibles going?
Oh, I haven't
Good.
got to play too much.
All right.
I need to play more.
All right. Tony, anything for you?
Just more Unicorn or Overlord. Think I'm maybe 75% of the way, or something like that. We'll see.
Mhm.
Still having fun. Unlocked like new tiers of units and whatnot, so it's opening up the strategy. And now I'm like getting to like kind of like in How on Fire. I'm like at a certain point, you just have like units that are like, yeah, you're just supposed to be able to kill these things in like one hit. So I'm starting to get into that territory. I'm like, oh, if I equip this and this and this, they just like motor people. So that's been kind of fun, where it's like just kind of experimenting with different setups and accessories and skills and whatnot.
So in that game, like, do you have like a preset loadouts like you can do? Like, can you do like certain teams for certain, or do you have to do everything manually? I can't remember. I know you said there's a lot of like configuration.
There is a loadout
Yeah, loadout. That's what I'm
thing.
looking for.
I personally haven't done it yet, just because like once I find something that works, I'm just like, all right, like that's what works, and like for 90% of the stuff it works, and then because you can preview how much damage you're going to do to like a unit roughly, right? Because
Okay.
there's some RNG
Okay.
involved with like accuracy and whatnot. But if I'm like, oh, this unit won't kill this other unit, or I'll lose that battle, I'm like, all right, well, I'll switch to the other team. I'll just throw the other team at them and stuff like that. But I believe there are loadouts where you can configure it and stuff like that. So
Okay. It sounds. I mean, it sounds cool. I like that. So like the combat's like you're hands off. You just build a team, right? That's what it is.
it's half, it's like half RTS. So like
Okay.
imagine like Warcraft or Starcraft, but instead of having like a swarm of like 200 units, you have like six usually. I think is the limit or something like that.
Hmm.
And those squads you build up, where it's like I want to have like two like knights as frontliners and an archer and a mage in the back. And depending on the position on a 2 by 3 grid, um, generally the frontliners will protect the backliners, because a guy with a sword can't just run up to your backline because the knight or whoever is tanking will get in your way. But if they have like an archer, that doesn't matter because the archer can just like move
Okay.
and shoot the your backline. Or same thing with like an aerial unit, like a griffin or a dragoon. They could just pick off your backline and stuff like that. So you got to like really kind of play around with what you want your setups to do, and there's a lot of like buffs and debuffs where it's like
So like I'm going at this completely blind because I do this all of these games. But like, do you have numbers of units in these? Like, do you have like 100 archers? Like you can like in the combat?
no. Like, you start out with one archer, like a named NPC.
Yeah.
You can hire like generic dudes, kind of like an XCOM, right? Where it's like,
Okay,
oh, you're an archer, and I can build you up, right? And he'll get the same skills and stuff like that, but it's not like
So not like a grand scale combat. It's like smaller, like
yeah,
individual
it's small,
units. Okay.
yeah. Like I probably only have like 30 something units total, and I don't even touch half of them.
Okay.
I'm just like, oh yeah, cool, you're in my army, and you know,
I'm,
kind of like Fire Emblem too. Like Fire Emblem, you don't have, you're not gonna like pay attention to every single unit, right? You can only
no. When you're talking about this, I'm envisioning a little of a Dragon Force combination here, where archers are good against other, dragons or something like that because they're like shooting down. And I'm like, but that was like hundreds of units on the screen, and they would,
no.
So I didn't know.
Like there's probably only ever like a dozen units on screen at once.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, so as the passage of time goes, like enemies will respawn reinforcements from their like castle or their base or whatever like that. But you also have you also have the opportunity.
It sounds like Dragon Force.
I'm sure it's heavily inspired by that in some aspects.
It also sounds a little bit of like Final Fantasy game that they play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. For me, I hadn't much time for that, so I didn't get to play much this week. But all right, let's get into some news. What do we got here? Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is the Remedy's fastest selling game, but still has not recouped development and marketing expenses. So the
fastest selling or the highest selling, there's a difference there too.
There's different wording, without a doubt. Obviously, highest selling, it's newer, so it's not going to sell like, but it's amazing
they seem happy about it still. They expect it will eventually, but not yet.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just it's the state of we talk about it every week, the state of the industry and how development costs have just exceeded the what you can do, like to basically what the game can be made. Like it's just ballooned, and anything that's like this game I know was in production for a while, but it's not. I didn't look at it like it was a huge budget game, but I guess it turned into one. Like so happens, right?
Well, it actually had a very short, like, real development cycle. But
right, it was in pre-production for a while, right? That's my understanding.
That's what it was, pre-production. Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to start this up. A couple like older games were originally Alan Wake 2, and they turned into like Control and stuff like that. But earnest production of this game started in like 2020, and they did it in about 3 years. But and I also said they saved some money by adding more live action sequences than they even planned to originally. But these are still sort of niche games. What did they sell, like 1 point something million copies? That's good. It's not ridiculous, but it's not enough.
Was it like Tomb Raider sells 8 million and it's underperforming?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it ended up being a triple A game. It's like a $20 20-hour game with like cutting edge graphics. So it's not that surprising, but they also they seem happy with how it's been going, and they're gonna support it.
I mean, the thing is, horror games to begin with are a hard sell, right? I mean, I think Resident Evil's the only real one that sells in the millions of units these days, right? So I think it's a miracle we even got Alan Wake 2 to begin with, first of all, because that was, I think, one of the, because the first game it wasn't published by Microsoft, but it was pushed by them, right? Because it was a 360 exclusive.
I think it was Rockstar who was the publisher. Maybe not. I'm not sure, actually. But it might have been, because things like that have changed since then.
Right. So whatever. It does speak to the development costs and how much needs to go into marketing, right? It's actually insane because over the weekend, I saw this tweet how this one company released a game that is apparently a remaster or something like that of a 90s Japanese game or whatever like that, and nobody knew about it. Like this one media person was like, nobody knew about this. Nobody sent anybody review copies. We had no idea. This like, there's not a single review you can find online, like anywhere worldwide, like not just America. Like, and it was just like, oh well, you're just kicking rocks, down an alley. It's like, okay, if you don't market it, nobody's gonna know. So, that speaks to it, and they're confident it's going to reach profitability, which is good. Unfortunately, I think this developer is just one of those ones where it's like they need these sales to fund the next game, right? So like we know they're working on Control 2 and stuff like that. So the sales of Alan Wake 2 are going to have to, push them towards that. But there's some small concessions too, because like they didn't have a physical version of the game, right? It's all digital, and for PC, it's only on the Epic Game Store. There's no Steam version, so that also limits its audience there. And that's because Epic has a vested interest in it, and people like to point out, it's a lot more if you put it on Steam. Well, yeah, no shit, but Valve didn't pony up the money to make Alan Wake 2. Epic did.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're also looking into live service bullshit. They have like some Control universe like multiplayer game they're also developing. So we'll see how that goes. At this point, they also they're investing into this shared universe they've created, which is kind of where Alan Wake 2 like got a lot of fans like of Control in the first game like excited because it sort of confirms how shared the universe is. So we'll see, but it's a success, but it's funny because it's not really a success yet. It's very strange.
Yeah. All right. Okay. What else we have in the news? We've got Microsoft. Microsoft quarter 3 earnings came out. Let's see. Windows OEM revenue up 11%. That's good. Devices revenue down 17%. Gaming revenue up 51%. Xbox content and services revenue up 62%, but Xbox hardware down 31%. That's a huge drop. 31% on the hardware. Oof. That's bad. Now, also, these numbers are a little bit misleading because this does include Activision Blizzard, which I think, right? That is that on this number set? This
right. So everything here
yeah.
is year over year. So when they say up 50 and up 60 for the content revenue, whatever the fuck they call it, that's because they can be like, oh, hey, look, Activision Blizzard King's books are now part of ours, and we didn't have them last year, and we do now. So those numbers are pretty good. Bad thing is you can only play that once, right? You can only use that trick once. Because next year they will be like, oh.
Well, with the 31% hardware decline, you need something good.
Well,
you need something good. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I mean, so I find it funny.
That's why you spin that. Yeah.
This is apparently the last time we will be getting certain numbers out of Microsoft again.
Yeah.
So
going back to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And whatever we've kicked Microsoft.
Care about hardware.
Huh?
They've made it clear they don't care about hardware anymore. So.
I mean, you're right in that even what's his name? Tatella was saying on the earnings call himself. He's like, yeah, we have like 6 or 7 of the top 20 games on PlayStation or something like that on the PlayStation Store. It's like, wow, you really have to find the wins where you could take them, I guess, right? Like, it's just sad, but again, like, I just think they're shifting to be a third-party publisher, and that's.
I mean, I think
forward to them.
I think we're gonna have I see with the way that the industry is. I feel like I don't know if that's Corey, but I feel like we are gonna have a shift where more companies are gonna be making. Like, I feel like Sony's gonna make more things on other consoles too at some point here. I know Microsoft's the first to go, but I do feel like that we did lose Corey. I do feel like this is kind of an unsustainable industry where you have to come up with another revenue. And we talked about it with like Tomb Raider is the perfect example, Tony. We talked about this many times. Like the thing that killed that game is the exclusive platform thing. Like that that killed them. Oh yeah, he lost internet. And so like by multi-platforming things, you make up a lot of difference in sluggish sales for another console. And you know, I can see that. Like I'm not defending. Like I'm saying I understand why Microsoft would be thinking this. I'm not defending them moving away from like hardware. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I do see where them saying, "Hey, let's try to make some revenue on this side to make up for these losses." Now I can see even more in these numbers. Like these numbers would be horrible without Activision Blizzard. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like how bad was this going to be without this? And so now I can understand the decision a little bit more. I'm not saying it's the right or wrong. I'm just saying I can understand it a little more by seeing what this is.
I mean, but part of the reason why these numbers are so bad is their messaging for more than just this year has been, we don't care about our hardware anymore. Just, you know, let's just get Game Pass on what we can. Like, I don't know. It's just Microsoft moving the goalposts because they can't compete with actual exclusives. So, whatever.
They could if they decided to make some games at some point rather than just spend money on companies.
Storm got me. I'm back. But
welcome back, Corey.
Yeah, if you're talking about Xbox still, it's just I mean they gave up like a lot. Like Europe there's nothing. They're non-existent in Europe whatsoever. And so that for one is going to kill their
Japan. They're
momentum.
basically non-existent.
They've always been non-existent in Japan, though.
That's I understand, but you'd figure after 20 years.
Europe was a big market for them, though. Europe was
I'm saying like Europe, Japan, and America. You got those are like the three biggest like.
Yeah, Europe was always
gave up in two of
big
them.
region. You have to. Well, the thing for them historically, they've never done well in Japan. So, but they were able to make up for that in North America and Europe, and they're doing so bad in Europe. It's not great. I'm just saying, like I understand the move to third party more than ever because of these.
What third party? Like
software. Like they're going to try to make more money through the software sales by going on multi-platform.
Yeah, they have like 4 games at the most right now.
Again, I just said make games too. That could help, right? I mean, that could help. That could help sales.
Nope.
I mean, it could. Look,
sales of what? Like their software, not their hardware.
I'll just say, I mean, they're not good at it. They're not good at their job.
No,
I'm sorry. Like last year, Redfall, right? Because I had Game Pass at the time. I was like, you know what? I'll try Redfall, despite me never having a single iota of interest in that game, and I could play that basically at no cost to me. And it still wasn't even worth my time. Like that's how bad it was. I was like, this is terrible. And then for Phil Spencer to be like, yeah, we, our internal reviewers thought that was like an 8 or something like that. I'm like, you need to fire that team then, bro. Like,
that team's gotta go.
Fucking awful.
They are not being honest with anybody.
Like right, exactly. So they're not being honest. And then like the thing is like they're like, oh, we're being hands off with all of this. I'm like, I understand that to a degree, right? Like. Nobody would like if the new owners just came in and upended the tea table, so to speak, to use that term. But at the same time, like if you want to build your brand, if you want to build Microsoft Xbox as a reputable brand, you can't be like, yeah, just whatever. Just let us know when you guys are ready, and we'll have our internal teams review it, and stuff like that. You gotta be like, no, like why are you not doing like quarterly check-ins to be like, hey, how's this game progressing? Why do you not have a team that says, "Oh, let's play this," and be like, this is kind of shit, man. Like,
yeah. Be honest. Like, give the honest feedback to fix these problems. Like, because it's not going to get fixed if you're not honest.
Exactly. And Starfield, we like to point at Starfield, but again, that was a game that started before Microsoft owned Bethesda, right?
Yeah.
Well before.
Well before. Right? It was supposed to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. That's what kicked this entire acquisition, merger or whatever thing was, because Phil was like, oh fuck, we can't have Starfield be PlayStation exclusive. Like, why is that game not better? Why? Like,
yeah, it's quality control. Quality control.
So
yeah,
let's be honest. Like, I'm sorry, they're just not good at their job of making good quality video games. I'm not saying everything, but like the things that are doing well are either
like
not
they just keep getting worse because they were good at making games. They had studios that made quality games and franchises they built from the ground up, and then they just decided to abandon them all.
They merged them with other companies to be Halo churn out Halos, churn out Gears, churn out. Remember they did that? They put them all in
No.
one funnel.
Those were there things they created that were good. What else was there?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Fable.
They merged the other ones into there. That's what I'm
Mass
saying.
Well, Mass Effect went third party pretty quick.
They published that for a while, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Forza games are still
the Forza
you know,
games.
the
Yeah,
Forza
sure,
games.
I'll
Yeah.
give them that. But like, for being in the business now for 23 years,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They,
you know,
Halo's never been as low as I mean it is dead. That franchise, one of the biggest franchises in video games, is dead. It's dead. You know,
Mhm.
that's the best way to say it. Like it's
they let that slip through their fingers. I still remember when like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 came out on the 360. And I got a copy of that for free because literally some EA employee on I think it was NeoGaf at the time was like, "Hey, I have like, 24 copies of this to give away. Just write a blurb and review it here on the forum and I'll send you a copy." I was like, "Sure, like whatever." I was like, "Oh shit, this is a really good." I'm not even into military shooters, but I was like, "This is really good, guys. Like, what the heck?" And then being like, people are like, "Oh, is this the Halo killer?" And it's like, wow, it actually did, because
Mm-hmm.
they didn't do shit with it. Like, they just let Bungie walk away and replace him with the incompetence of 343. And we all know how that ended up. So, whatever.
Yeah.
Microsoft, they've got a lot of soul searching to do, but in the meantime, they're going to just be releasing more games on competing platforms, and I don't see how that works out with their Game Pass model in mind.
I agree with that. I don't see it either. I don't see that strategy, but I understand the thought.
They even made an announcement for this month for the games coming to Game Pass and the ones that are leaving. There are more games leaving Game Pass than coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, I know. We mentioned that a few podcasts ago about like the indie world, like the freebie things are like it's dead, like it's dying away. They're not paying them for this stuff anymore, and so they're going to lose content. And now we're losing content also year over year. BlizzCon 2024 is not happening. It's not a huge loss to the world, but BlizzCon got canceled. Is that Microsoft's fault?
I'm sure to some degree. Absolutely.
I mean, they had a hand in it. Yeah, I was gonna say like they can't be solely the onus of this thing, but like at the same time, like Tony mentioned on Discord, if you don't have things to show people, what are you gonna have a show for? It's like
right.
At some point, you gotta produce.
Right, and this isn't going to be the first time that BlizzCon was canceled, right? Blizzard themselves, before they were owned by Microsoft, when they were just under the Activision umbrella, they've canceled BlizzCons before. But I just think this is a bad optics, right? Because you're the new owners. You said, "Oh, we're being hands off. We're letting them manage themselves," right? And here's the thing: the reality of it, BlizzCon, that's a money loser, right? You're not making money off of a convention because it's primarily directed at fans, like these super fans that want to be there, that will pay the money to
content anyways. You're gonna buy the content anyways,
right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
You're not bringing anybody new in,
right? You're not bringing anybody new in, but it gets, you do it because you get to keep those people engaged. You get to be in the news cycle for a little bit, this, that, and the other thing. And it's bad optics to be like, actually,
we're canceling it.
Got nothing. We got nothing, folks.
Yeah, and it's like nothing. Kind of. It's not necessarily a slap in the face to your fans, but it's like kind of turning your back on your fans a little bit, because this is the time now when you have a whole lot of change happening to be like, all right, guys, listen, we're good. Like, we have all this stuff. We have the new Diablo expansion that's coming.
Overwatch
like, we haven't seen.
Yep.
Yeah, Overwatch season is going to be coming out soon.
The WoW
we have
expansion.
Yep, all this stuff still in the pipeline for you guys to get excited about. And here's all these freebies and promos that we can do, and like we'll do like cosplay events and stuff. But instead, they're not doing any of that. And it just seems like that this is the time to do that now, when you have all this change happening. Like, keep people engaged, keep people excited. Because I was excited for the expansion for Diablo, but now I'm like, yeah, well, no.
This is the year you definitely wanted to do that, because like I said, you just bought them and like you're trying to show that your hands off, and it just looks, it's bad optics. It's not, I'm not saying they're the reason it got canceled, but I'm saying it doesn't look good for them because it's canceled. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right. If I were Phil Spencer, I mean, a lot of things would be different. But in this regard, I'd be like, no, you guys need to have BlizzCon. I don't care if it's going to cost us a couple $1 million or whatever.
Right. We just ate all this fucking billions of dollars in this company. Like, it gets this shit out there so people can be excited.
Yeah, this is about goodwill here to appease the fans, because they're already we're leery about what we're going to do with this company. Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. I think that's it on the news. Yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Gamecast, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, we are live on Twitch Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. Please stay tuned. If you're watching this live, we have Fallout spoiler cast coming right up next. And if you're watching this on YouTube, check out that spoiler cast. Check out the movie casts. We'll see you guys soon. We are out.
It's 'cause